Meilah Daf Yud Ches, says the Mishnah, if you combine 2 half shiurim of arla, that is a half a kazayis of fruit that are less than 3 years old on the tree, and a half a kazayis of klei hakerem, that is if you planted grain or other seeds together with grapes, the 2 of them are mitzdaref for the oynesh of malchus. Says Rav Shimon, you don't need a tziruf, you don't need a combination. Even if you eat a half a shear of arla, you still get malchus. The only reason why one would need a full shear is to bring a carbon. Says the Mishnah. And the Mishnah means this in a very specific order. If you take a cloth, you can combine a half a shear of cloth together with a half a shear of a sack. Those are the ones that combine together. You can take a sack and combine it with leather, and leather together with a mat. And the way they combine is for the lesser of the 2 shirim. Reb Shimon says the reason behind this that they combine is because all of these can combine together to make tumas moishav with 1 tefach. Now, if a person considered to make something to rest on, lemishkav, you need 3 tefachim, and in order to hold something, it's bekolshu. In other words, people would wrap a very small piece of cloth around their finger in order to do different types of jobs, such as to pick fruit or to weave. So that's why the shear is bekolshu. And with that, we finish the perik Kochem Mizbeach. Says the Mishnah, there are 2 types of items, and we had this before earlier in the Masechta. There are items that when you use them, you deteriorate them, you depreciate them. And there are items that you use them and you don't depreciate them. There's a big difference. An item that you depreciate, the only way to be over Meilah is if you depreciate it with a value of a pruta. An item that doesn't depreciate, such as a golden cup or a necklace, you don't depreciate it. So the way to be over Meilah is by not depreciating, but rather just by benefiting from it, enjoying it for a pruta. Then you're over Meilah. According to Rebbe Kiva, the same halacha would apply in a middle garment. You have, let's say in our days, we wear an undershirt and we wear a shirt. The tzitzis is the middle garment. The tzitzis would depreciate slightly every time you use it, but you don't see it and you can't differentiate it until much later down the line. According to Rebbe Kiva, therefore it's considered something that doesn't depreciate, and you're over Meilah even without depreciating it, as long as you benefited from it a pruta's worth. According to Chachamim, you have to get the whole pruta's worth right now, and then you're over on Meilah. The Gemara darshans the pasuk. It says in the pasuk, "Nefesh kisimoil mal." From the word nefesh, we learn even an individual, even a nasi, and even kohen gadol, kohen mashuach. Mal, the word mal is a language, is a lashon of change, of changing reshuyos, going from one area to another area that it doesn't belong. The Gemara brings 2 psukim, one by a saita and one by avodah zarah. The saita goes from her husband to a strange man. Now, by the saita, she doesn't necessarily leave her husband's rishus and enter another rishus. She stays in the same domain, but she has anah. And on the other hand, she's not nivgam, because she's not a psula anymore, because she's married. Therefore, there's no begam, there's no depreciation. Avodah zarah, on the other hand, is the opposite. The person doesn't have any hana by performing avodah zarah, but it does change. He himself changes from being a full-fledged Jew to an oved avodah zarah. Going from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to avodah zarah is changing reshuyos. The Gemara brings a Gzar Shava, chet, from Truma, and we learn 6 halachas from Truma. First halacha is that just like Truma is food that you benefit, you enjoy, and you consume at the same time, so too, Meilah you'd have to benefit and consume if it's a consumable product. But if you were to take something that would belong to Hekdesh, let's say a clothing from Hekdesh, and just rip it, that's not Meilah because you didn't benefit from it. The other halacha is that the person who creates the depreciation, he has to be the one that benefits. Third halacha is that it has to be the same item that you're benefiting and you're depreciating, and the hana and the begima have to be at the same time. Fifth halacha is it has to be detached, it can't be mechubar, and the sixth halacha is that if you send a shaliach, the one time in the Torah, that the shliach who performs an avera, you say that the sender, he is liable, because typically we say, ain't shliach l'dvar avera, but here by Meilah, there is a shliach l'dvar avera. Now from the words timol mal, we learn that even though by truma, one person ate and benefited, but by Meilah, you could combine two people. That is, if one person force-fed his friend and he had ana, the two of them together combined for an isser, and the person that force-fed, he's the one that's over and is chayiv. By truma, it goes from kadosh to chol. Yet by Meilah, even from kadosh to kadosh, if somebody stole birds or whatever it was, and he brought a chatas asham, he is over. And there's a machlokes, the Gemara says, machlokes tanoim, when exactly is a person relieved from his duties of bringing a carbon? Is it when he brings it into the Azara, or is it by Zrikas Adam? Have a wonderful day.